From purchasing on day 1 of pre-orders to arriving at my apartment, it took exactly 6 months, 23 days, 4 hours, 43 minutes, and 16 seconds to get my hands on this camera. But who's counting? Okay, obviously I didn't count exactly how much time it took to get this down to the second, but I did wait about 6 months to get my hands on this thing. So in today's video, I'm gonna go over why it was worth, in my opinion, waiting all of those hypothetical seconds to receive this camera, the Fujifilm X100vi. And to do so, I'm in New Zealand, which is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful countries in the world. So I think it's gonna be a good one. Let's get started. You guys have probably heard that classic saying that the best camera is the one that you have on you. And while I do think that's true, I would also add that the best camera is the one that you have the most fun using. And that is where the X100vi comes in. Not only is this extremely portable to carry around with you, I mean, look at the size comparison between the Fuji and my iPhone. It's kind of crazy, but it's also the most fun I've had shooting with any camera ever. It's the perfect size to carry around on a daily basis, and I love the way it has all of the physical control dials on here for aperture, shutter speed, exposure compensation, as well as some other features that I will get to a bit later on in the video. I also highly recommend getting a camera strap for this. I'm not normally a big fan of camera straps, but for this setup, it just makes a lot of sense. This camera has made photography fun again in an age where it feels like social media burnout is at an all-time high. So that fact alone is a pretty big win in my book. This video isn't really about the specs, it's more about the experience of using this camera, but I do think it's useful to run through a few of the basic ones fast in case you are interested. The X100vi has a 40 megapixel APS-C sensor with a fixed 23mm f2 lens that gives you a 35mm equivalent field of view. It has 6 stops of in-body image stabilization, a built-in ND filter, 20 film simulation modes, and somewhat surprisingly, very impressive video specs, shooting 6.2K 10-bit video in F-Log and F-Log2, which I'm very intrigued to explore more of in a future video. Another thing I've enjoyed is just how good this camera looks, which I know someone watching this is going to roll their eyes like, why does that even matter? But to me, it does matter, to be honest, because if it looks cool and aesthetic, then I'm just more likely to carry it around with me and take more photos. So take that, anonymous person who may or may not exist. On that note, some of the fun accessories you can get for it as well are pretty cool. For example, I picked up this thumb grip that fits into the hot shoe mount here that makes holding the camera just a lot better of an experience. And I also got this gold shutter button attachment thing, which is more just purely aesthetic, but I really like it. I'm also realizing at this very moment just how nerdy this sounds. Like, never did I think I would be sat here as a grown man on the internet talking about a thumb grip accessory for a camera. So let's just move on and try to forget this ever happened. Deal? Deal? Okay, I'm just gonna assume that we shook on this. I'm realizing you also can't. Okay, this is not going to plan. One of the main features and a big reason why this camera is so much fun to shoot with is the film simulations that come built into it, and the fact that you can customize them to a button on the camera for quick access while you're shooting. So I have mine customized to this front button here so that when I'm taking photos, I can press this and cycle between 7 different film simulations and choose the one that best fits the current scene that I am shooting. There seems to be a general movement lately in favor of nostalgia and simpler times. I think we've seen this with the rise of film photography being trendy again, and it makes sense if you think about it. With tech improving so fast, most cameras these days have all reached a point where the specs are wild and it's almost too perfect of an image. So then the trend swings back the other way to a little more imperfection. And that means people once again chase the film look. I really enjoy how you get some of the vibes of shooting film when using this camera, because you get the film simulation JPEGs that you can transfer from the camera onto your phone with the Fuji app right away. And it kind of feels like you're getting the film scans back instantly, sort of, when doing this. But you can also shoot raw photos that you can put on your computer later to edit. So you kind of get the best of both worlds this way. The JPEGs are so good straight out of camera that sometimes I just leave them as is, or at most I will make very minor changes and they'll be good to go, which has really been a game changer for me since I got really burnt out with the whole photo editing process. So to have such an improvement on the editing workflow side of things is another win for this setup, because it means I actually share the photos I take more often, and it's easy to send to friends and family, post them online, or just keep them in the archive to look back on later. Before talking about what I think is arguably the best reason to own this camera, I want to quickly tell you about a bonus positive that I sort of stumbled upon by accident, which is it's a great camera for BTS photos on filmmaking projects, because when it's set up the way I have it here, it's pretty much point and shoot and you've got your shot. So it can be passed around set and anyone who wants to grab it for a quick BTS shot can easily capture it. Especially since I've been doing mostly video work these days, I found this to be a really cool use case. I'm glad you've stuck around until now, because to me, this is the number one reason why this camera is so good. It's memory catching capabilities. So I've been in New Zealand for a couple weeks now, and I've shot a lot of photos with this camera. I honestly find myself reaching for this more often than my larger mirrorless camera. And I think a big reason for that is because this feels like the perfect memory catcher. It's also the only camera I think I've ever owned that I'm not using it in full manual mode. I have it set up in aperture priority so that I can just take out of the bag or off my shoulder and snap shots right away, quickly and easily. And it just means that I'm more likely to shoot more photos with it this way. Photos of beautiful sunsets, crazy sunrises, and wild landscapes are great and all. But at the end of the day, I think it's the photos of those in-between moments, the memory photos, that we're gonna look back on later in life and cherish the most. And to me, there aren't many cameras out there better at capturing those memories than this one. So finally, we have arrived at the ultimate question. Is the Fujifilm x100vi worth the hype? I feel like you already know my answer if you watched this far, and that is absolutely yes. Really, the main downside is because of the hype, it's become pretty difficult to borderline impossible to get your hands on one. Like I mentioned in the intro, I waited over 6 months for mine to arrive, and I actually pre-ordered it on day 1 when it was released. At the time of recording, I did see it was available on Amazon, so I will leave a link below to that if you are interested in checking it out, but who knows really if it'll still be there by the time this gets released. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on all of this. If you agree with me, let me know. If you don't, I will block you. Just kidding. Also, let me know. And other than that, thank you as always for watching, and I will see you in the next one.